Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Louis Van Amstel Podcast with me. It's still me. And right now, I want to talk about adoption. I can talk about so many things, Dancing with the Stars, personal life, career, but right now, it's going to be pretty sentimental. But I also want to raise awareness for adoption, and in particular, adoption from the foster care system and adoption of older children. So many people have the wrong information or think it is extremely expensive. It's not. Of course, if it is private adoption and you get a child from another country and you want a baby, then of course it can get really expensive. And all these agencies, they know that parents want children. So in my opinion, it's a little bit of a ripoff. But ultimately, if you can afford it and that's how you want to do it, good for you. But there are many other ways. So there are approximately 500,000 kids in foster care. And once they turn 18, they age out. I guess they get a few bucks and a backpack and they're on their own. So quite a few years ago, Josh and I, my ex-husband, we talked about having kids, and we talked about how old would those kids be. We thought maybe 4 or 5, or maybe even a little older, 6 years old. How many do we want? How many siblings do we want? Do we want 2 brothers and a girl? That was secretly what we kind of wanted. Good luck finding 3 siblings, 2 older brothers, and a younger sister. So we looked. So here is what you do. You actually go to, let's say what we did, Heart Gallery of Colorado. It's a website. You click on that website and you can literally go in and click the color of the skin, the age category, 1 sibling or 2 siblings or 3 siblings. You can literally pick. And then once you click enter, you get to see thumbnail pictures of kids. Here's the first advice that I give you if you want to adopt. Don't look at those pictures until you are ready to want to adopt. We did it in 2017 when Josh and I were in Europe for the Special Olympics Winter Games to promote dance sport as an official sport. And we just started looking. No. Bawling our eyes out, and you just want to give a home to all these kids. But we weren't ready yet. We just were barely newlyweds, and here we were completely occupied with other things. So yeah, don't look at those websites because it's like going to the shelter to just look at dogs. Not a good thing, because you will walk out with a dog. If you're a dog lover or you want to adopt kids but you're not just ready yet, just wait. Please? Yes? We have a deal? Okay. So then when we were ready, we started looking, and kind of Josh took the lead on that. And we had decided we wanted to go for older children, but not really. We didn't have a number. We didn't have an actual age. We just knew we wanted older. And for one reason, we have 17 years between us. So we wanted a child old enough that when the kid would be an adult, I wouldn't be grandpa status, and not too old that Josh would have been too young if the child were our biological child. So I hope that makes sense. So we kind of figured if we go for 9 or 10 years old, Josh would have been 21, 22, and I would have been in my 40s. So that's what was in our head. We have thought about it. We have talked about it. And then you go on that website and looking. And we still put the cart before the horse. Because you're looking at these pictures and you just want to go after that caseworker to say, hey, we want that child. We still had to do the training. So we signed up for foster care training, and we had to do 8 workshops that all last between 3 and 4 hours. And you can miss 2 that you can do online. And because of my travel schedule, I actually had to do those twice, two online. But let me tell you, those workshops are fantastic because you actually learn what can happen as a parent. What can you expect as a parent? Is there a manual? No, there is no manual for parenting. But is there a place where you can learn those particular workshops? Josh and I were talking about it because during those workshops, I was thinking these workshops should be done by every single person and couple who is pregnant, who is expecting a baby. You should do these workshops. They're so helpful. We learned so much from those professors, the trainees, the lecturers. They all had so much experience and it really helped us as parents. So we did that training. Then we had to have a caseworker come to our house, check our house. Is it safe for any kind of child? So we had to make some changes. Railing next to the staircase. We had to the very credenza that's next to me had to be mounted to the wall. So if a child would hang, it wouldn't fall. Anyway, somewhere ridiculous, but better safe than sorry. So we did through the training, and now finally, the next step was the website. Looking at thumbnails. It is window shopping. I cannot believe that I'm saying this. If you want to adopt a child, you go to a website. In our case, it was the Heart Gallery of Colorado that we found the thumbnail of Daniel. And the moment we saw that thumbnail of Daniel, who is of course now our first child that we've adopted 5 years ago, but I saw that thumbnail and I knew he's our child. This is going to happen, I promise you, even if you're not going to adopt and you go to those websites. You're going to get emotional because all these kids are looking for parents. They did not ask to be put on this planet. It was the parents that couldn't take care of themselves and therefore these kids. But that's a whole other story. Anyway, then we submit our paperwork that we have accumulated. We've done all that we needed to do. We've done all the CPR. We've done all the classes. We've done all the interviews. Our house is safe. That package was sent to the caseworker of Daniel, which was, you get a little paragraph that explains what favorite color, what does he like to eat, what kind of personality is, but all the fluff stuff. It's all good news. What he likes, and it really is heartwarming when you read it, but deep inside, there's so much more to the story. Well, so this is what happens. We submit our paperwork, and then you get a reply. Took a while, but we got a reply. And then you are potentially matched with this child. So the caseworker on that site, they actually look at all the papers and they talk to the child, and potentially there is chemistry, even before we meet. And of course, we are a same-sex couple living in Utah, and that is all shared with the child. And if the child says, yeah, I would like to be adopted by two dads, then they come back and they match us. That doesn't mean much other than, okay, we are now interested in looking more into you to potentially be Daniel's parents. So what do? Now they send you a letter, and in that letter, they share everything that Daniel has gone through, Daniel's other side of his personalities, and what are his behaviors, and what has happened to him since he got into foster care. Pardon my language, to me, I call that the F off letter. They want to scare you off. They want to make sure that you know everything about this child, because when you adopt this child, he is now yours. So they are very honest in that letter. That's why I call it the F off letter, because they want to scare you off. And when I read that letter, I was bawling my eyes out. Because in that letter, you read all the things that are done to him, that he didn't have a choice, 2 failed adoptions, going from one foster care family to the other, being separated from his biological brother. There are 2 other siblings that were adopted, their kinship adoption. Those kids stayed within the family with an aunt or an uncle somewhere, but Daniel kept going back to foster care. Well, when I read that, it only solidified that he was going to be my son. And well, then we met. End of March 2019 in person. And it was at a park, very open, and we had a good time. We played a game, and then after an hour or so, we left. We drove back 4 hours back to Utah because this was in Grand Junction, and we just met literally for an hour. And the moment we step into the car, we both break down because we knew we had just met our first child. And then we had to go for 2-3 months. We had to go back and forth to Grand Junction, stayed in Verbos. Then we had 2-hour meeting in the park. Then we had an overnight. Then we had an overnight just with me, an overnight just with Josh, to get all these relationships slowly built. And then we had to go into therapy with Daniel's therapist. And we started doing attachment therapy. And this was all very slow going. In 3 months' time, that's where we spent most of our money. Verbos and gas and Airbnbs. And it was worth it. It was worth it. And that team did it slowly because Daniel had 2 failed adoptions, separated from his brothers. And then here we are, 2 fathers. So everything about us was already unique. And then you add the situation of Daniel into the mix. But we clicked. And 3 months later, I remember it as the day, as if it was yesterday. I'm getting emotional, so please don't judge my grammar or the words come out of my mouth. It was Father's Day, June 16th, on a Sunday. We drove to Grand Junction and we picked up Daniel. Pooh. Now we are the custodians. And now the 6-month clock starts ticking. As custodians, you take care of the child, but you are not yet the parents. Why? Because now you're living together. There's a lot of things that can happen. The kids can change their personalities. It's all roses and sunshine, and it's all honeymoon until they come to your home. And that is when you start learning the true characters. Also, the child might actually believe that we are one parent when we met, and then a complete different set of parents when he comes to our home. So for 6 months, both the child, in this case Daniel, or us, can change our minds. We knew. When we saw that thumbnail picture, we knew that's our son. So we wanted to make sure. So if you look at the timeline, Father's Day, that's June 16th. If you go 6 months later, that's December 16th, the holiday season. We wanted as a gift to Daniel and to prove to him that we want to be his parents. We want to have everything done before Christmas. So we asked, instead of waiting until December 16th, can we please start the process with the lawyers? Can we start the adoption process before? And yes, we get it. We can only go to court after December 16th. Well, took a few discussions, but yes, we started that process, and we then start working with the courthouse here in Utah to set a date. And the date would be December 19th, 2000, no, not even, it was December 6th. And then we wanted to have it within a few days later. So Um, then we got the date. Now we just had to make sure that everything goes well and wait out the 6 months time. And all looked great, and it was great. But then, this is a side story that I did on social media, and this went viral. We went on CNN, we went on CBS Morning Show to talk about what happened just before Thanksgiving. Daniel came back from school and told us, yeah, the teacher, the substitute teacher that he had never met, was a substitute teacher for one day, asked him, the entire class, what are you excited for and thankful for this Thanksgiving? And when it came to Daniel, he didn't miss a beat, to finally being adopted by my two fathers. And she didn't miss a beat and said, why would you be thankful for that? And he went white and like a ghost, and he didn't know what to say. And when he shared it with us, I got so angry and I needed to vent, and I did it on social media. And many of you might have even heard about this story. But ultimately, 3 girls stood up, went to the principal because that lady would not stop. Well, I guess I need a little break, and I will continue this. I'm back again. Sometimes you have to take a little break. Anyway, so those 3 girls stood up for Daniel and went to the principal, and the principal went to the substitute teacher and took it to the exit. And long story short on that one, we made it a case, and she will no longer teach in the school district ever again. Anyway, the sad part of that whole situation is this is just before Thanksgiving. This is a few weeks before Daniel gets adopted, finally, and he thought that he was in trouble for saying that he was happy to finally be adopted by 2 dads. And oh, that got me so angry and sad at the same time. Well, a few weeks later, we are going to court. And the courthouse was so full, not everyone could sit. And people, they had to open the doors because so many people supported Daniel, supported us. It was so amazing. Friends flew out from other states. It was just amazing. And of course, extremely emotional because this was our first child and fully adopted. And Daniel finally was going to experience a real family who is not going to send him back. Well, the judge, Judge Nielsen, oh my gosh, what an amazing guy. Because he didn't do things exactly according to what was expected, he asked Daniel to come and take the bevel. So ultimately, when we had to raise our hands and do all the I will, under oath and all that, yes, can we move on, please? This was a whole ordeal. Anyway, lots of tears were shed. And there was the moment. Daniel was allowed to take the bevel and actually finalize his own adoption. Boom. And of course, when the moment came, we all bawling and then filled with love and laughter. And oh my gosh, we were in that courtroom for I don't know how long, taking pictures with everyone. And it was absolutely amazing. By the way, my mom is sitting there and her phone is going off. And of course, you've seen my doggies laying there. Anyway, I'm trying to not be distracted. Long story short, if you take, and this is, I'm not making up this shit, pardon my language. It took us 9 months. 9 months from the moment we started the process in October, doing all the paperwork, all those workshops, until June 16th, the custody. Can she be? Mom, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Anyway, this is how we're getting the ghost, and I'm not going to edit it out. Anyway, so 9 months from the moment paperwork, workshops, then waiting for being matched with your child, then meeting the child, how long between meeting the child and then over and over and over, then you become the custodians. And that was pretty much 9 months. And I recommend it to anyone that would love to skip the 9 months pregnancy and the pain and the pickles and all the food that you want and the weight gain and then the back pain and the this and the that. If you want to avoid that, or better yet, hey, when you're a couple and you want to have a baby of your own, great, no problem. But sleepless nights the first 2-3 years, oh my gosh. Oh no, that's you now. Oh no, that's you. No, you're going to have to wake up at night and oh my gosh, when will the child stop crying? Look, it's wonderful if you want to have a baby of your own, but I'm here to kind of shed light on the fact that when you can adopt a child at whatever age, whatever color, you can adopt how many you want from one to a whole sibling group. You have that choice, and to me, that's the beauty of adopting from foster care. Is it all roses and sunshine? Absolutely not. But all the families, my close friends that have biological children that are also teenagers now, they say, Louis, adopted or biological, all the things you tell me about your kids, I go through the same, and they came out of my own body. So I hope this was educational about the process of adoption through foster care and what we did, the conversations we had about what age, why older, why younger, why one at a time versus 3 at the same time. We did change our mind from wanting 3 siblings at the same time to, no, let's do 1 at a time. And not that we didn't want the 3 at the same time. It's just hard sometimes. You have to deal with caseworkers who are overworked, underpaid, and don't get enough sleep. So you're dealing also with bureaucracy, unfortunately. So not all caseworkers want for you to adopt 3 siblings at the same time if you are a first-time parent. So we took that to heart, and that's why we decided to do 1 child at a time. And Daniel Ray Van Amstel is our first child, who we adopted at 10 years old. He's now 15. He plays the cello. He loves playing tennis. He is fantastic at skiing. I'm not going to take any credit for teaching him how to ski, but that's another subject. Anyway, I'm kidding. He is fantastic at skiing. School finally is going much better because kids, that is the other side. Kids from foster care, they come with trauma and maybe a lot. But if you want to, you can help that child, providing them with a different life. I'm not crying to persuade you, but I can't even explain the feeling of what it's like when you help some other child that almost gave up on life, and you open your heart and your home. It's wonderful. Oh, and we've had some rough times in this household in the past 2 years. But it's worth it. And I hope this inspires you to want to adopt or become a foster care family. I thank you. My phone is ringing. I have to pick it up because it's, guess who? Daniel. Thank you.